Welcome to Find the Connection, the podcast where we explore the history, development, events, and stories that make Northeast Florida so inviting. I'm your host, Kendra Robertson, a real estate professional, community leader, wellness ambassador, and proud resident of Jacksonville Beach for over 30 years. In each episode, we'll dive into the stories of the people that are making a difference, both at a local level and nationally. We'll share an inside look at real estate with tips for maintaining work-life balance, from winning your mornings to winning your day, all while staying connected with our vibrant local community. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's find the connection between community and living your best life. Today, I have my friend Cody Thompson, who is a Keller Williams Realtor and born and raised in Jacksonville. Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I'm excited to chit chat and catch up with you and share a little bit of my story too.
Yeah, I actually, for my listeners, I broke my finger 2 weeks ago. So I was 18 days out of the water. I finally am back in. I slammed my finger in my car door. But what hit me, and I know you can relate to this, is I forget how grounding the ocean is, like being in the ocean every day. How often do you surf now?
So it evolved over the years. It used to be daily. I would be stressed out and itching to get out there. But now I pick and choose depending on how I'm feeling. So I do what I call sanity maintenance sessions where the waves aren't that good, but I'm getting to the point where I can feel that I need to get out there. So it's not always the best days, but I'll make time when I feel like it's got to happen sooner. I'm starting to feel like I'm, like you said, maybe lose my grounding a little bit, losing myself. So,
It's got to be a little harder with your 2 children now and a young baby, right? How old's the baby now?
yeah, young family. She'll be 3 months soon. So we're getting out of the really hands-on stage, but it's always going to be all hands on deck. And I enjoy spending my time at home with the family. And I know when I can break away but the surf's got to look a little better than it did when I was 20 to get out there. But I still get my sessions and I still surf plenty, but entering a new phase of life and it's been awesome. So rewarding in different ways and the best ways.
How did your inaugural Thompson Brothers Classic come together? Was that something you and your brothers have been thinking about for a while, or?
Yeah, that's an event that we've been talking about doing for, gosh, probably over a decade. People are like, hey, you guys should do this. Hey, you should do that. It wasn't until a good buddy of ours who's actually a contest director. So without him, his name's Dane Jeffries. He's a local surfer. Without him giving us the nudge and going, hey, I have the infrastructure. You guys just will be the face and do that portion of it. Let me put it together and you guys just show up. So it was more to it than that, but he does a really good job of just providing that peace of mind that, hey, the contest is going to start at 8, end at this time, the heats are built, the scaffolding is going to be there, everything like that. That part helped. And last year was our first year and it was way better than I could have ever imagined. The support was insane. The sponsors showed up. It was just a huge local affair. And it was cool to show up to an event and be on the other side of it for once and not have to stress about when's my heat, how am I going to perform and all that, and just kind of giving back to the community and watching people that there were people that would have never signed up for a surfing event or a contest that they put the rash guard on and went out there and had some fun and a little bit of competitive juices flowing. And it was great. And we ended up raising, I think, a little bit over $15,000 in our first year. And we gave that straight back to the Live for Today Foundation, which is a foundation here locally that did a lot of cool stuff for my older brother, Trey, and Trey continues to work in and out of with them. And it's a really cool thing that they do. It's not just helping pay for treatment, it's sending people on adventures, life adventures, they call them. So really get out there and go explore and see things and do things that they normally wouldn't have the opportunity to do. It's not just taking the medical bill burden away or anything. So it's a cool thing. And first year was success. And we're now building into year 2. It'll be late August this year.
So you hope to do it annually.
That's the hope. Yeah, it's a lot. We all have small families and young families, and we're all busy with work and life and everything, but it's okay. I feel like we all are. So
Mm.
let's take the time to do this and give back. And the feeling that we had when the dust settled last year it was unreal. So we want to really put a lot and pour a lot into this every year and see if we can make it bigger and just see what kind of opportunities it opens for giving back and using our platform for good.
So there's 5 brothers. So were you all surfers?
So there's 4 brothers,
Oh, 4.
and now there's lots of nieces and nephews and kids and stuff too the family's growing quickly. But 4 brothers, and yes, we all were surfers. The 3 youngest were all professionals. We traveled and sponsors and competed and all that. Older brother Trey loved surfing. He never went down the professional road, but he was always surfing with us at an early age, and he got into more team sports and stuff like that. But we always shared that common bond throughout growing up.
So we talk about how a community sells real estate. The whole surf community is just a whole subculture within our community. How have you seen it grow since you've gone through the ranks in Northeast Florida?
So how have I seen
Like,
myself and my business grow, or just the
no, just
community?
the surf culture itself.
Okay, yeah. So
That's me.
the surf culture, yeah. I know a lot of things really expanded through COVID, which is cool. It slowed things down for people and allowed them to venture into hobbies and things that maybe they didn't have the time and stuff for before. So we saw a big wave during that period of new surfers. But I would say the growth from when I grew up surfing when I was 8, 10 years old to now, it's gone crazy. The crowds have expanded, which is okay. It's to be expected with a growing sport, but in the same rate that the community has grown and the support and the whole surfing family community here at the beach it's unreal. It's so big and from all ages, from ages 5 to we even had competitors that were close to 70 maybe in their 60s. So it was really cool. But we've also seen a huge wave of female surfers come on too. So when I was growing up, you might see 1 or 2 girls out there and everyone knew who they were. Now I go surf and there's almost more young girls than young guys, which is really cool to see. So it's growing, it's expanding. It's a really accessible sport when there's a lot of sports that it's a pay to play every day. You got to go and pay your admission fee. So the ocean's really cool that you just show up and everyone knows where they're going to be. And there's a pecking order and an underground kind of set of etiquette and rules. And we all just try and be a part of it and share that experience together.
So is there any advice you would give to a young kid wanting to go pro, make it a career?
Yeah, this is a loaded question because that's the road that I went down. And since then, things have evolved a lot. The whole industry has changed a ton. In some ways, it's changing for the better, but in some ways, it's changing for the worse too. So it's just changed a lot. But I would say the same thing about, I would take the same approach as to any sport or any kind of road I wanted to travel down and be the best that I could is just 1, be a good person, and 2, put as much time and effort into what you're doing as possible. There's so much opportunity, and we're seeing surfers go down different roads. Now we're seeing the YouTube and the Instagrams and the TikToks, and it's not just about being the best competitor. That's kind of more how it was when I was growing up. It's, hey, if you weren't winning, then move on. So our goal was just to win and win on the regional level, East Coast level, national level, then international, and then the pro ranks. And that was basically how you were ranked as professional or not, was just strictly your results. So now we're seeing some really amazing surfers that had no competitive success or very little. They're making more money and they're more well known and they're doing it better than some of the best surfers in the world that are on the world tour because of the different opportunities. 1 is just be a good person, be a likable person, respect everyone in the water, and on land. Just because you're winning, you don't want to walk around with your chest out. And you have to be a marketable person as well. So there's that aspect too. It's not just how much hardware you can bring home from a surf event. It's how
Right.
marketable you are, and personality goes into that a lot. Obviously, skill as well. But and then just being creative too with your approach to being recognized and putting yourself out there. And that's where the YouTubes and the Instagrams and all that stuff comes into play.
You're right. It really has changed things. So obviously you traveled quite a bit, right? What was some of your favorite places that you ended up?
Yeah, we traveled a ton. I would say some of the most fond memories we had growing up, and this is crazy because I have small kids now, and this is not something I'll be doing as a parent. But in this time that we were growing up, it was the best move and it had the largest impact. But when I was 16, my two younger brothers were younger than me. I think they were probably 13 and 8 at the time. My dad would drive us in a minivan to California and fly home and just leave us there for 2 to 3 months at a time. And I was 16, I just got licensed, and I was in charge of the 13 and the 8 or 9-year-old, whatever he was at the time. So I was dad for the whole summer, just cruising around on the highways in Southern California, surfing the best waves on the West Coast. And we did that because the whole surf industry exists in Southern California. And a lot of the big premier events, the national events, take place in the summertime in California. So we were just there. And if you weren't there, you were here in June and July when it's the flattest months of the year. It's hot and flat. You're not surfing, you're not progressing. So he saw that and gave us the opportunity to just be out there and spend time. And we would bounce around between sponsor houses and friends and family and floors and couches and whatever we had to do. And honestly, that was the dedication that it took in that period of time, and it paid off, which was cool. So that probably some of my most fondest memories growing up and surfing was just spending time in California.
But the
But
concept now as a parent, like
eh,
leaving your children.
yeah, at least now we have air tags and cell phones and all that stuff. We had nothing back then. It was just, we had some cash in our pocket and a Nokia phone that was literally like, unless something has gone really wrong, you're not touching the phone. Yeah, hard to think about now doing that. And my goal is, if my daughters grow up and want to do that or go down that same road, that I can actually be there with them, which will be.
And the careers you've had have been somewhat flexible in that sense. How did you roll into owning a gym? Like, how did you make the transition from surfing full time to owning a gym?
Yeah, it's a long story, but I'll give you the short story. So when I was a junior competing, I had a lot of success in the regional level, then the East Coast level, and some success on the national level too. And I kind of coasted a little bit into my junior professional career. And when I was in my late teens, early 20s, I was not progressing, not getting the results that I wanted. The sponsor dollars were coming in, but they weren't growing. And I just, it all kind of came back to my confidence. I just was just struggling with my confidence a little bit. And I was able to work that out in the gym, just kind of stumbled into the gym and built a lot of strength and a lot of confidence. And right away, it just instantly changed everything for me. So I ended up having some good professional results based off of just that confidence that I built. It wasn't really a skill issue. It was just, how do I take the skill I have and make it to where I can win some prize money and walk away with some trophies. So it helped a lot. And it was just something that I felt like was missing. It was almost taboo back then. Surfers were just not known to spend time in the gym. You just surf. A lot of them were just partying. You wake up, you're a little hungover, and you go surf, and they let their skill just kind of take over. But for me, I never felt like I was the best surfer when I would show up to these junior pros and pro events. I always
Mhm.
felt like I had to work harder. And so I put time in the gym, and then it was just instantly like I was hooked on fitness and the impact that it made on me and my life and everything in all aspects. And so when once my contract started to come down a little bit, we were going through some kind of restructuring of a lot of the brands that I was. Surfing's hard, and the contracts were not massive back then. So I kind of saw the writing on the wall. I was still making some money, but it was like, okay, I'm in my early to mid 20s now. I can see the writing on the wall. I had a lot of friends that were surfing they were just getting calls from their sponsors. Hey, we're cleaning house. We're done.
Wow.
Contracts are running out and people are getting dropped mid contract, which was crazy. So I was like, I need to figure out my next move here. And I didn't go to college. I didn't have any of that experience. So for me, it was like, what can I do? And I know I love fitness and I love kind of sharing that with other people. I bring people into the gym and that. So I went and got certified and I started coaching a little bit on the side, just at a big box gym. And there were some other coaches and mentors that kind of helped me through that. But I just, I realized quickly that it's on my way or the highway. I needed to be in my own zone and do it my way. And I was only certified for probably maybe a year or less. And I was like, all right, I'm driving around Jax Beach. I'm looking for a space because I want to just open a gym and do it. So I found a space and it was 2016 or 17, I think. And I called the sign. I'm like, hey, I want this space. It's 1,000 square feet in Mayport. And the guys, do you have a business model? Do you have a name? I'm like, I got a name. It was Thompson Performance. And I was like, I got a friend working on a logo, but do you have a business plan? And I'm like, I don't even know what that is. So yeah, I didn't have a business degree in college. I finished high school through homeschool, and that part I was just kind of on the road learning how to live and survive out there. So I Googled how to put together a business plan and gave it to him, and he's cool. All right. And then I took out a personal loan of, I think it was 12 grand at my bank. I had good credit and a little bit of cash, and I went and bought a bunch of equipment and opened up. And it was like right away, the support was awesome. And I learned how to run a business and wear every hat you can as a business owner, from janitor to acquiring new members, to servicing, to coaching, to bookkeeping and everything. And it was cool. It was almost like I got my degree in business with real hands-on experience.
So when did you make the decision to transition to real estate?
That was in 2021. So I opened the gym in 2016 or 2017. So I ran it for a bit, and it got to the point where I was needing to grow. I was doing a lot. I was doing everything, wearing every hat. So it went from, okay, I'm the coach and the face of the brand, so I need to hire a coach. And that's the part that I really struggled with, was management. So I loved what I was doing, but I knew I couldn't be there all day, every day. And management was not my specialty.
So how did you make the transition from owning a gym into real estate?
So the transition started when I realized that I was not a good manager. I like to coach, I like to run my business, but I realized pretty quickly I hit a sticking point, and it was just trading dollars for hours, and there was a cap to how much I could make. And I absolutely loved what I was doing, the people, the day-to-day of the gym. But I realized there was a theme there with my members. Almost all of them, not almost all of them, but a good chunk of them were working in real estate to some capacity. So I had mortgage lenders, I had real estate agents, brokers owning their own brokerages, and people that owned or worked at title companies. And it was like, they were always just talking about real estate and deals. And one, they could afford my services, which that was a good sign. They were making at least some decent money. And two, they were able to come in at 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning or 4 in the afternoon. They were pretty flexible too. So when I was coaching, I would just pick their brains and try and learn about what their day-to-day looked like and let them vent to me about deals gone sideways. And it was just so interesting to me. And it had always been something that just sounded fun and interesting. And I grew up at the beach and I knew the area. We all follow the trends and stuff like that. Not like I do now, but I'm like, I got my certification for training online, my fitness one. Let me just see if I can do the same thing for real estate and see where it takes me. So I did that because when I was coaching, it was like 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. And then I'd come back at 3 to 6. So there was this huge gap in the day where I was tired. Most days I was napping, but I didn't have any kids, and all I had was that time. So I was pretty quickly dual career, doing real estate from mid morning to early afternoon and coaching in the morning. So it was great because I had that financial runway. I had a good sphere of people that I could talk to. Obviously, I'm not going to sell houses to my realtor clients, but the first deal I ended up getting was a customer that I had that was training with me at the gym, and that was a buyer. And from then on, I was hooked. It was great. So I set some goals for myself in my first year. I closed my first deal in January of 2022. And I'm like, okay, let's see how it goes by springtime. And by that summer, it was 6 months down the road. I knew that real estate was going to be, I was going to go all in. So I started to spread the word that I might be selling the gym. A buyer rocked up, bought it as is, all the equipment. I gave them my list of members, and I just told my members, hey, I love you guys. This is where my heart is now. And it was cool. I have a lot of great relationships that carried on from the gym and coaching. And I drive by it all the time on Mayport Road. I'm like, man, I miss the days and hours that I put in there and the conversations that I have, the relationships that I built. But I knew in my heart what I needed to do. So also,
where do you work now, or where do you work out now? Do you work?
so everyone asks me that. And I'm a little hesitant to tell people because I don't know. I bounce around a little bit. And so rewind a little bit. A lot of that decision too, for me to stop the dual career was, we found out that year that we were going to be having our firstborn in September of 2022.
Okay.
It was 4 a.m. wake ups, coffee. I'm at the gym by 5. I'm coaching. Then I'm going straight to Keller Williams' office, learning, straight back into my gym clothes and coaching. So I was like, that's not going to work when we have our newborn. So that's what I was like, all right, I'd hit some goals that I set for myself early on that year and packaged up the gym, sold it. I just went all in on real estate. And now I have memberships at a couple gyms. I'll train at LA Fitness every now and then. And a lot of members stayed with the current gym, and they do a great job. A lot of the systems are very similar to what I was coaching. And I have friends that go to different gyms. I just kind of bounce around a little bit.
So it's still a big part of your life though, like the fitness side of it.
Yeah. I wake up at 4:45 every morning. I have an hour to myself, just in my thoughts, coffee, and then I go to the gym at 6 a.m. But a lot of it for me now is I like the social aspect. And I know my members like that too. I like putting on headphones and lifting weights too, but I go and I've got some good buddies that we all work out together, and it's fun. It gets us out of bed. There's accountability, and I'm not super crazy, regimented, but I get there at 6 a.m. every day. So maybe I am crazy and regimented, but
So why
yeah.
Keller Williams? How did you choose Keller Williams? I know for me, I interviewed several brokerages, and when I walked into Keller Williams, I feel like I left them for last, but these are my people.
I had the same experience I did as you, Kendra. So I was pretty set on a different brokerage because I had friends there, and I went, interviewed, and it was okay. I'm like, all right, I can see myself here. There were some things that I didn't fully align with. For me, coming from professional surfing and then being a fitness coach, my whole thing was like, I need to feel 100% competent in what I'm doing. It's hard to go from being a professional at something to being brand new. So I didn't want to feel like a newbie or like I didn't know what I was doing or lost. So for me, like when I was interviewing brokerages, it was like, I need training, and I want the best training. I need a coach. I need you guys to help me become great at this quick. And I went to another brokerage. They're like, yeah, we have great training, this and that. And then a member at my gym said, you need to meet with Mark Dilworth at Keller Williams. And I was like, I don't know who Mark Dilworth is. And Keller Williams, I've obviously seen the brand. To me, at the time, it was just a big box. I don't know. So I walked in there, and instantly Mark's energy, I was just like, okay, he's kind of reeling me in here. And then he's got his whiteboard. Here's our system, just boom on the whiteboard. And I have systems, and I can follow things, and the way he laid it out, obviously it wasn't his first prospecting appointment, but he at the time was very good. I really liked his energy, his personality. Everything that was on the whiteboard just spoke to me. And I went home and I was like, shoot, this is tough now because I've got my friends over at this brokerage that I was already set on. And now I've got my gut telling me that Mark Dilworth and Keller Williams is where I actually belong. And I remember he was like, okay, so it's going to be at 600 for that, 500 for that, breaking down the fees. And I went straight from that meeting with Keller Williams to the beach. The next day there was a local pro-am where it was like maybe $2,000 or something for first. And I sat there, I was thinking, I was like, God, I have a lot to think about, but let me just focus on this contest. And I was just sitting there watching the waves by myself. There was no one down there. It was the day before the contest. And I was like, I think I'm set on Keller Williams. It was speaking to me as I was watching the waves and trying to get in the zone for the next day. And the next day I surfed in the event, and the exact amount that I needed to get signed up with Keller Williams, I ended up winning in that event. So it was so weird. It was like, it all just played out so great. And I called Mark. I was like, hey, I'm coming.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it was. And then that was pretty much it. Yeah. And
Well,
everything,
so
the system,
Mark,
coaching, everything was.
yeah. So Mark was very good at keeping tabs on me, helping me to set goals and look to the future and that kind of thing. So it sounds like you were already doing that. You within the gym, within the surfing. Yeah, like I would. So how many years now have you had your license?
So we are May. So it's May now. I'm 5 months into my 5th year.
Okay.
So 2022, I had my first closing in January. I got licensed and everything at the end of 2021. I was going through training, and then 2022 just hit the ground running. I think I had 11 transactions in 2022 and did about 5.5 million. And I walked in going, I remember going, all right, if I can sell a few houses, that's some pretty sweet money on the side. Went from that to like, all right, if I can hit my cap at the brokerage, I'd be pretty proud of myself. To like, all right, if I can replace my income at the gym, and then it was, all right, if I can double my income from the gym, and it just kept going and going. I was like, it opened so many doors for me. And it truly, I tell Mark all the time, walking in that meeting with him totally changed my life.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So
And
it was
so
cool. He had a lot of impact on me. Yeah.
So this past year, your sales were like double goal. What was it?
So last year, I think I was a little over 10 million. It was right about my goal. I can set some lofty goals for myself, but I know that there's sacrifice and discipline that it takes. And I've always been a disciplined person, but some of the sacrifice was weekends, family time, and things. So I try and balance myself out. I know I can confidently sell and deal with a certain amount of customers and clients at a time, give them my best while still giving my family what they deserve, especially in this period too, where we're juggling little ones. And I know it's a season of life where my hours are what they are. And at some point down the road, I can all go surfing together and just make the most of
So
every
do you try and pencil in a weekend off, or like how do you manage like fully unplugging, so to speak?
So fully unplugging it's tough, right? I can unplug from the office, but the only time I'm really fully unplugged is when I'm in the water because I don't have my cell phone. I have an Apple Watch, but I purposely don't have data on here because it's the 1 hour or 2 hours I get where I'm out of reach. But I say that I pal around and people are asking, hey, how's the market? Hey, what's going on? Which is cool because it's real estate has just become my life and my environment. And that's the one I've created for myself. And this is what I've asked for. And it's awesome. But yeah, I'll take weekends off where I'm like, all right, I'm not going to show any property. I'm not going to do any open houses and really just spend time and go do things with my family.
So you've learned a little bit about the investment side too, right? You dabbled in.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think a lot of it happened around the pandemic and just, I had to close my gym for several weeks and all we had was time. We weren't working. It was like, okay, let's take a look at where we're at and where we want to be and what else is out there. At that time, I was learning a lot about just my finances and budgeting and investing in the stock market and all kinds of stuff. And also during that time, the home that we purchased in 2019 was appreciating like crazy. You're refreshing Zillow every 5 seconds and the value is just going up. Like, whoa, this is crazy. The goal was, let's turn this house that we have now into a rental property. So the accidental landlords, which it's become quite popular now because people are getting these people locked into such low interest rates. So when at the end of my first year being licensed, I was like, I'm on the hunt for another house for a new primary because we've got this current primary has a great interest rate on it, a low balance, and it could rent for $2,000 and our mortgage is $1,000. Like the math is just math in there
Right.
for me. We did that, bought another house and bought the ugliest thing I could find and fixed it up. And it was like, just got hooked on that, just pouring money into renovations and knowing, especially because I can see everything. I see what's happening on the market and what buyers are looking for and just really
Mhm.
doing those exact renovations and stuff and forcing equity into homes and learning a lot about what kind of mortgages we can get and how do we qualify and what down payment and can we escrow versus not. Just learning all these things because of my job. And then I'm just staring at deals all day, refreshing the MLS. And I'm like, gosh, it's very hard for me to not jump in and want to buy stuff. So that was really cool. We became landlords and we pretty quickly realized that being landlords wasn't for us. Yeah. So the goal was let's just get a bunch of rental properties. And it was just tough because it's not just a passive, there's work to be put in. There's people on the other side and people have
Mhm.
real life situations. And we were blessed to have probably the best tenants we could ever ask for in our first rental property. They paid a week early, never called with any complaints. And still, it was tough for me to sleep at night knowing, okay, I've got a large chunk of equity in this house that someone else is living in. And it's tough. And it was a battle for me. And I learned a lot about myself in that part too. So we realized that maybe just living in these homes and selling them as we're getting to the next house was probably a better strategy because if you live in a property for over 2 years and it's your homesteaded property, you can sell with no tax penalty,
Right.
which is really cool. So I learned that. And yeah, now I end up going and seeing houses that are just on the MLS and I walk in, I'm like, all right, let me run some numbers and maybe talk to my family and see if they want to live here. And now we're on house number 4. So my 3.5-year-old has lived in 4 houses now.
Wow.
Which I don't know if we're forever home people, but this one that we just moved into, we might be here for a while, I think. It's really cool.
Well, and that just translates to helping your clients for sure, those experiences.
Exactly too. So if I have customers they're like, we're handy, we want to put some work in, and I'm like, okay, I know exactly what you need. And I've been there and done that. I've forced equity into homes. You know, even in a market that's been trading sideways for the last few years, we've been able to buy and renovate and sell and walk away with a nice profit. So you just got to know what you're looking for and be able to map out the costs of things. And what's cool about buying a primary too is if the market turns a little bit or it keeps trading sideways and you're not ready to sell, you have a great house that you're living in at your house.
Right.
I think that home buyers, even first time home buyers, in some cases have a leg up on investors because the numbers aren't super sexy right now for investment properties. But if you're going to put in some years and put in some work, then it could be a good situation for purchasing a home.
So, is there anything we haven't talked about that you want to talk about?
No, we talked a little bit about real estate, about investing, about family and surfing, and my advice to young kids wanting to jump into it.
What advice would you give to someone looking to get into real estate?
I give advice all the time of people looking to get into real estate. I say don't get too hung up on the numbers, like the failure rate, because it's so high. It's incredibly high. And I think a lot of that is just because the barrier to entry is so low. And it looks so sexy from the outside, right? It's, oh my gosh, you're opening up doors and you're wearing a button and you're getting a big check. It's okay. That's a small portion of it. A lot of it is behind the scene headaches and fires that we're putting out, and a lot of disappointment, a lot of chasing, and a lot of what ifs and hopes. But it's so cool. I would say my advice would be to just go all in. Just don't be secret about it. And I think that helped me a lot. I use my social media, my Instagram and Facebook, to really let people know, hey, I'm doing real estate now. I'm not shy about it. And this is who I am. A lot of people they get weird about career changes, and it's, oh yeah, another agent, this and that. But if you truly put your head down and do it, let the world know, and let the world know that you can do it well, then I think there's a lot of success on the other end of that. So learn, practice,
Yeah, I
and
think, yeah, with Keller Williams, people ask me, and I'm like, it's a lot harder than it looks.
yeah,
I've
yep,
worked harder than I've ever had in my life.
yeah,
But it is really rewarding when you have those transactions that are highly emotional. And I close on a house that we've been under contract 3 times,
yeah.
and we finally are closing June
People only
1st.
see the third one.
Yeah, yeah,
I think it's, oh, cool, Kendra closed another one. It's like people don't know what's going on behind the
right.
door, the hard conversations. And for me, I absolutely love problem solving. It's so rewarding to me. It feels so great to be faced with an issue and go, okay, how do we get through this? Present options to my customers, and they work, and put your heads together and do it. And then
Well,
connect people and being a resource. I love,
yeah, I think you find the same thing. You've been here for so long that you know so many people, and it really makes a difference when you need people to give you a quote, to help you get a listing ready, to all the things that to support your clients. It really comes down to who and those connections.
yeah, for sure. And that was one of the first things I did when I first got started in real estate was I built up my base of people. Made sure, and I was reaching out to people, reaching out to my painters and floor guys and roofers and contractors. I'm like, hey, I'm doing real estate now. If I have an opportunity to send you a customer, I want to know that you can service these people and build some really great relationships and have referral partners that I've been referring since day one, which is awesome. Great lender too. That's helped me tremendously. Just walk me through first couple of deals and, hey, am I doing this right? Hey, that email sound pretty good. Is there anything I need to be doing? I know that the lenders and the title companies, they do a lot of heavy lifting for us, which is great. But we're at the front lines, and we've got to know how to answer questions and get ahead of issues. And it's so fun. Every transaction, you learn so much, and there's no two that are like. So every day you wake up, it's all right, we're going to face some problems today and we're going to get through it. And my first couple of transactions, I was like, what did I get myself into? I think I think I maybe did cry a little bit on my first listing and maybe a little bit on my first buyer. And like, all right, this is, like you said, this is harder than I expected, but it's even more rewarding than I could have ever imagined.
I think ultimately I find myself realizing I've connected with these clients for a reason. I was the right person for
Hmm.
them
Yeah.
for what they were going through, which that brings me joy and keeps me going.
Yeah. I have one like that going now too, where I'm like, I'm glad that this landed in my lap and I can service these people the way that they need to be serviced, because there is no one type of approach for everyone that works.
Yeah.
And I think we gravitate towards the right people.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you for taking the time to talk
Thank
with
you,
me,
Kendra.
and congratulations on your success.
I appreciate it.
It's been fun being along the journey with you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's been an awesome journey, and all the support that we've had within the brokerage and the community, I owe it all to them. And I know we've had some great conversations over the years. And so I appreciate everything. Kendra, thank you.
Thanks for listening to Find the Connection. I hope today's episode gave you some helpful insights and inspired you to get involved in your community. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and leave a review. It helps others find us. And if you're interested in making a move or learning more about Northeast Florida, reach out to me anytime. Let's keep finding the connection together. Until next time, stay connected and keep thriving.